The story starts with Gato the Devil arranging a devil game for Teruesa and Maruko. Maruko has challenged Teruesa for this game, and the winner gets the magical key. Moreover, the winner can ask anything from the loser, even his life. The game begins, and the name of the game is True or False. Teruesa gets the first turn and hides a coin under the cup. Then Teruesa makes a statement saying the coin is still under the cup, and Maruko has to answer true or false. Hearing this, Maruko takes no chances and looks beneath the table. He successfully finds the coin and thinks he has won the game. So, he answers the statement as false, but as soon as he does, Teruesa smiles. Due to this smile, Maruko gets super confused and changes his answer, thinking Teruesa is trying to outsmart him. Maruko becomes extra cautious and tries to find the coin in the drawer. He does this because it would still count as being under the cup, and while doing so, Teruesa resists. All of this makes Maruko believe the coin is in the drawer, and he bluntly answers, true. But Maruko is astonished when Gato says his answer is incorrect, and this is when Maruko realizes Teruesa was just bluffing him. Later, Maruko is seen activating his special power, known as the Devil Power. Actually, Devil Power is rewarded to each key holder, but as this is Teruesa's first game, he didn't know about it. As soon as Maruko activates his power, the temperature drastically falls, and everything starts freezing. It seems Maruko's devil power allows him to alter the temperature in a certain area. Maruko pretends he is altering the temperature so that Teruesa can't focus and answers wrong. Moving on, it's Maruko's turn, and he makes a statement that within a 2-kilometer radius, there are more than 20 department stores. Teruesa does the math in his head and recalls the number of stores nearby. After thinking it through, he concludes that the statement is true, but Gato says his answer is incorrect. So, a point is given to Maruko, and Teruesa is shocked to hear how he could be wrong about such an easy question. As the game continues, it's Teruesa's turn to make a statement. He spreads a handkerchief on the table and says there is a bomb underneath it. Teruesa does this because he remembers that during World War II, a bomb was buried right under this table. But Maruko mocks him, saying how a bomb could fit under this table, and bluntly answers, false. Gato later replies that Maruko's answer is correct, but Teruesa is shocked and questions how Maruko could be right. Another point is awarded to Maruko, and he is feeling confident because he only needs one more point to win. Moving further in the game, it's Maruko's turn again. So, he makes a statement that within a 2-kilometer radius, there are 10,000 people. Teruesa becomes suspicious about why he's answering these simple questions wrong. Suddenly, his gaze falls on his laptop, which isn't charging, and he also notices the fire alarms aren't working. He concludes that the room is in a place without electricity. To confirm this, he lights a fire, pretending it's to protect himself from the cold but really to see if the smoke triggers the fire alarm. His suspicion is correct, and he now believes the whole room has been shifted to a cold place, like the North Pole. So, he answers that Maruko's statement is false, and Gato replies that Teruesa's answer is correct. As a result, Teruesa is awarded one more point, and it's his turn to make a statement. Moving further in the game, Teruesa burns all his money in the fire and says he has no more than 500 yen left. Maruko has to answer true or false and checks the basket, finding a coin in it. As a result, Maruko now has 2 500 yen coins, one he took from the ground in the first round and one he has just found. So, Maruko answers false, but he is shocked to hear that his answer is incorrect. Actually, Teruesa bluffed Maruko and deliberately placed a fake coin in the basket. It was actually a GPS transmitter his father had gifted him. So, Teruesa's statement is true, and he wins the game, gaining 3 points. As a result, he gets Maruko's devil key and asks him what he knows about it. Maruko explains how the key suddenly appeared before him, and since then, his luck has changed. He became rich and won every gamble he played, thanks to the key's luck. Maruko also tells how a man named Hashin called him and told him about acquiring more keys. Hearing this, Teruesa remembers how his father gave him the devil's key and told him about the luck it brings. Teruesa also recalls how Hashin killed his father when he was young. After his father's death, Teruesa moved to a different country, but, when he saw news of murders in Japan, he suspected something was wrong. Moreover, he noticed Hashin was behind it all, so he returned to Japan to take revenge for his father's death. This is when Maruko challenged Teruesa to a devil game, and now Maruko has lost. Maruko also told Teruesa that many people have this key, and Hashin is trying to acquire them. Later, Teruesa warned his friends not to get involved, but they didn't step back. These friends are Yuki and Yui, both of whom are Teruesa's childhood friends. The next day, Yuki and Teruesa are at school, reliving some old memories. Out of nowhere, a man appears and grabs Yuki. The man threatens to kill her if Teruesa doesn't hand over the devil's keys. This man's name is Hyodo, and he is a professional fighter. He also possesses a devil key but wants Teruesa's keys to increase his luck. Teruesa throws his keys on the ground, but suddenly, Yui appears and pushes Hyodo. As a result, Yuki escapes from Hyodo's hold, but Hyodo grabs Yui. Seeing this, Teruesa feels he has no other option and starts the devil game. As soon as Teruesa places the keys on the ground, Gato the devil appears. Later, Hyodo is terrified of Gato as it is his first devil game, and he doesn't know such things exist. Moving forward, Gato asks Teruesa what his demands are if he wins the game. Teruesa says he wants to know all the information Hyodo has about the keys and Hashin. Gato then asks Hyodo about his demands, and Hyodo replies he wants all three of them killed. After this, Gato takes an oath from both and starts the game. Before starting, Gato tells Teruesa about his devil's power. Since Teruesa initiated the game, he can now use his devil power. His devil power is that he can stop anything in time for a whole minute. The game starts, and it is called Shadow Step. In this game, the player who steps on the other player's shadow with their foot gets a point. In round 1, Teruesa moves briskly to win the point. However, Hyodo, being a professional fighter, easily defends and seems unaffected by Teruesa's speed. Soon, Hyodo pretends to punch Teruesa in the face, and Teruesa tries to defend himself. But this is all Hyodo's trick, and he steps on Teruesa's shadow, winning round 1. In round 2, it takes place inside the school building, and Hyodo is searching for Teruesa. While Hyodo searches, Yuki reminds Teruesa of how he used to perform magic tricks for his classmates. Yuki thinks they can use a similar trick to take down Hyodo. They all agree on the plan, and Yui agrees to lure Hyodo into the trick. Soon, Hyodo appears in the room, and Yui distracts him while Teruesa and Yuki set up the trick. Hyodo, unaware of the plan, sees a shadow and thinks it's Teruesa's. He steps on it but falls into the trap. Teruesa enters through the window behind Hyodo. As a result, Teruesa successfully steps into Hyodo's shadow and wins this round. In round 3, both Hyodo and Teruesa are in an old auditorium. Teruesa focuses on the stage lights and realizes it's the only place where he can target Hyodo's shadow. He comes up with a plan and uses his devil power this round. He unwinds the curtain rope and stops time for 1 minute. He does this to lure Hyodo to the stage exactly when the curtains slide away. Teruesa plans to step on Hyodo's shadow. Teruesa tricks Hyodo into following him to the stage. As soon as they are on the stage, the curtains slide away. Teruesa pretends he is about to lose against Hyodo, but it's all part of his plan. Exactly at the last moment, Yuki and Yui appear and take down Hyodo. As a result, Teruesa steps into Hyodo's shadow and wins the game. Later, Hyodo hands over his keys to Teruesa and tells him that a man named Senya sent him to fight Teruesa. Meanwhile, Senya observes from a distance. Senya is a master in gambling and possesses several devil keys. The next morning, Teruesa is seen paying a visit to his late father's grave. There, he receives a video text from Yuki. From that video, he learns that Senya has bought his late father's company. Later, Teruesa receives a call from Senya. Senya mocks him, saying he is sitting where Teruesa's father once sat. As soon as Teruesa hears this, he rushes to his father's office. When he arrives at the office, he is surprisingly welcomed by a pop star. This is Yukari, and she is there because Senya saved her earlier. Later, Senya rotates the key, challenging Teruesa to a devil game. Gato appears on the scene. Gato asks Senya for his demands. Senya states that if he wins, he wants Teruesa to tell him everything he knows about the keys. Moreover, he also wants Teruesa to perform tasks which he will disclose after the game. After this, Gato explains the game to both of them. The name of the game is 5-1. The game contains a total of 15 cards. There are 5 sets of 3 cards: hearts, diamonds, clubs, devils, and spades. Gato tells them there will be one anonymous card out of these 15 cards, which will be chosen as a black card. Whoever identifies it first will be the winner. Each player will be given 3 cards, and whoever shows their cards will be awarded 3 more cards. Hearing this, Teruesa starts calculating how the chances of guessing the black card increase as the number of shown cards increases. Later, Gato shuffles all the cards, and the stage is set for the first round of the game. In the first round, Senya goes first and vaguely guesses that the black card is a club. Gato replies that Senya's answer is incorrect. Actually, Senya is doing this just to rule out the card that isn't black. Moreover, he is trying to bluff Teruesa, and now it is clear that the black card isn't a club. Moving on, it's Teruesa's turn. He shows his cards and gets 3 new ones. He calculates that Senya has 3 identical cards of the same set, and they must be devil cards. So, Teruesa knows that the black card can't be a devil card as its set is complete. Moreover, Teruesa has 2 diamonds from earlier times and 1 diamond in the new cards, so this set is complete. So, it's ruled out as being the black card. Now, only 2 suits remain, hearts and spades. Teruesa vaguely guesses that the black card is a spade. Gato replies that Teruesa is wrong. This confirms to Senya that the black card is a heart. But it is Senya's turn now, and he answers that the black card is a devil. Shockingly, Senya's answer is correct. He explains how Teruesa was thinking wrong from the beginning. Senya never had a complete set of devil cards and was just bluffing Teruesa. In this way, Senya wins the first round. In the second round, it's Teruesa's turn first. He uses his devil power to stick the cards together so that Senya can't identify them. As the game continues, Senya shows his cards and gets 3 more in return. Senya is confident he has identified the black card. According to Senya, the black card is a heart, and hearing this, UI gets shocked. This makes Senya more confident. He further explained that he had turned over only 1 card while the rest of the 2 were unchanged. As the diamonds were the same upside down, Senya guessed that Teruesa had 2 diamonds. As a result, he answers that the black card is a heart, but he is shocked to hear that his answer is incorrect. Actually, Teruesa was bluffing him from the very start of this round, and UI also played along with him. Moreover, Teruesa turned 1 card upside down as a trick to confuse Senya. In this way, Teruesa correctly identifies the black card as a diamond and wins this round. In the third round, Senya tries to outsmart Teruesa by marking the cards so he can identify them easily. But Teruesa reveals he has already marked the cards before Senya and identifies the black cards as clubs. As a result, Teruesa won this round easily and was just 1 point away from winning the game. In the next round, Senya starts confidently and shows his cards in the first turn, but Senya has outsmarted Teruesa by painting the cards with a black pen so that Teruesa can't identify which cards Senya has shown. Building up the pressure, Senya identifies the second marking Teruesa left on the cards. As a result, he identifies the black card as a devil card, and the answer is correct. This leads him to win this round, gaining another point. Now, both of them are equal in points, and the final round will decide who wins the game. In the final round, Senya is trying his best to bluff Teruesa. He pretends his devil power is that he can see cards even if they are painted black. This confuses Teruesa, but soon, his gaze falls on Senya's bag. With UI's help, he steals the bag from Senya. When Teruesa opens the bag, he finds a special black light that illuminates the cards. He finds special markings on the cards with invisible ink and thinks he has understood Senya's trick. As a result, he answers that the black card is a club, but he is shocked to hear his answer is incorrect. Hearing this, Senya laughs out loud, mocking Teruesa. Senya admits he marked the cards with invisible ink but reveals he marked them wrong. Because he knew Teruesa would figure out the trick, he just acted and bluffed Teruesa. This results in Senya winning the last round in the game. Later, as promised, Senya gives Teruesa a task to act like his dog, and Senya pets him. When Senya is done with this, Teruesa addresses him, saying he knows that Senya is a thrill seeker. Moreover, he says it must be boring to play all these games alone and collect the keys. So, Senya should help Teruesa defeat Hashin and destroy all the keys. Teruesa knows Senya is greedy for thrill and fun, so Senya agrees. As a result, Senya returns Teruesa's lost keys and joins him in this mission. After teaming up with Teruesa, Senya gives him the name of an organization called Gungnir. Senya tells Teruesa that this organization is linked with Hashin and is behind the killing of famous politicians, businessmen, and other high-ranking officers. Senya believes that Hashin and Gungnir are making key holders fight and kill each other so they can acquire 99 keys for themselves. The next day, a man from the Gungnir organization comes to challenge Teruesa to a fight. His name is Nagakut. He is a doctor who has been treating his wife, who has just 6 months to live. Later, he tells Teruesa to skip the chit-chat and start the game. As the game begins, a new devil named Corgia appears to judge it. Corgia asks Nagakut what his wishes are if he wins. Nagakut replies that he wants Teruesa to become faithful and obedient to Gungnir. Teruesa proposes that if he wins, He wants to know all the information Nagakut has about Gungnir. After this, both of them take an oath to the devil and start the game. Corgia explains the rules. The game consists of 100 coins, and at each round, a different number of coins will be at stake. Each player will possess 5 different types of characters, each with different powers. In each round, one character will be chosen to fight. The player who displays the most powerful character wins. There is also a special diamond that can be used only once in the game to power up any character, making it overpower the other one. Round 1 starts with only 7 coins at stake. Teruesa calls Yuki and asks her to shut Senya up, as he can't focus on the game because of him. Following Teruesa's request, Yuki scolds Senya, and the first round begins. Both players display their weakest characters due to the low number of coins at stake, resulting in a draw. They move to round 2. In round 2, with 42 coins at stake, Senya thinks it is crucial to win. He calculates that he should use a general but never a knight. On the other hand, Nagakut proposes that they should draw this round using knights and decide on the game for the next round. Teruesa doesn't believe him. Senya becomes excited and creates a fuss, so Yuki slaps him. Instead of fighting back, Senya shakes Yuki's hand and calls her his new best friend. This makes Yuki uncomfortable, and she backs off, throwing herself onto Teruesa. The round starts, and both players seem to use knights. When the characters face off, they both destroy each other. Teruesa is shocked because he used a diamond to overpower his knight, but it still resulted in a draw. Nagakut reveals that he hasn't used his knight. Instead, he used a general. Nagakut used his devil power to swap the faces of any 2 characters, saving his diamond. By the end of round 2, Teruesa has no diamond left, making the next round an easy win for Nagakut. In round 3, with 30 coins at stake, Nagakut is confident he will win because he has a diamond. Even if Teruesa uses his strongest character, it will be overpowered by Nagakut's diamond. As the round starts, both use their strongest characters. Nagakut mockingly uses his diamond to overpower Teruesa's character. However, shockingly, Nagakut's character loses, and Teruesa says, "Checkmate." Teruesa explains that he was just acting from the start and never used his diamond in the second round. Instead, he used his marker's cap to pretend he used his diamond. He made Yuki and Senya play along, so Senya swapped the knight's crown with the general's. Yuki and Senya also acted, delivering the swapped characters to Teruesa. That's why the second round ended in a draw, and Teruesa saved his diamond for the third round. Teruesa's act made Nagakut overconfident, leading to his defeat. After the defeat, Nagakut goes into shock. It seems Gungnir tampered with his memory. As Teruesa tries to ask him about Gungnir, Nagakut can't remember anything and starts screaming, remembering his wife. Nagakut himself gets hospitalized, and it is later revealed that his wife has been dead for the past 7 years. A few days later, Teruesa receives an invitation to a devil game tournament. This tournament is organized by Gungnir, and it seems they want to acquire keys from different key holders. Teruesa agrees and is seen on a rooftop, where he is offered a drink. The drink is intoxicated, and when Teruesa wakes up, he finds himself in the middle of a forest. Later, he gets up and strolls around to find out where he is. He ends up in a house where Yukari is already present, and surprisingly, Ui shows up, too. Going back to the past, Ui and Yuki are upset as their company is on the verge of going bankrupt. Ui tries to meet different investors, but none are interested. He also gets beaten by a couple of people in a road rage incident. After being beaten and in a miserable state, a devil's key falls from the sky for him. From that day until now, his luck has changed, and he owns a devil key. This is why he is at the tournament. At present, Teruesa questions Ui about why he is there and suggests that Ui shouldn't be there. Ui replies that he is a completely changed man now. After getting the key, he has come to understand his true feelings. Moreover, Ui states he always wanted to beat Teruesa and now will make it a reality. Later, the tournament starts, and in the first match, it's Yukari versus Teruesa. The game begins, and Gato appears, explaining the game to both of them. The game consists of 3 rounds. In each round, each competitor will be given a chance to hide a coin. The other competitor will be the seer, who has to identify the coin in one of 6 tables. If the seer names only one table and it's correct, he gets 100 points. If he names 2 tables, he gets 50 points. If 3, then 30 points. If 4, then 20 points. In round 1, Yukari hides the coin first and tries her best to bluff Teruesa. She moves around all the tables but leaves table number 6. When she finishes hiding, Gato asks Teruesa where Yukari hid the coin. Teruesa takes a bit long to answer, triggering Yukari, who asks why he is taking so long. Teruesa says he has been observing her from the start, and she deliberately avoids table 6 to confuse him. That's why he chose table 6, but his answer is incorrect. Yukari mocks him, saying she was just acting to bluff him. Furthermore, she says that as a popular entertainment personality, she knows how to make people believe what she wants. Round 1 continues, and now it's Teruesa's turn to hide the coin. He lines up all the tables and pretends to change their numbering. He tosses the coin near a table in front of Yukari. Later, Yukari asks Gato if the current numbering is valid, and Gato confirms it. Yukari mocks Teruesa, saying his attempt to change the numbering was good, but she has outsmarted him. She names the table closest to the coin but is shocked to hear her answer is incorrect. The real coin is from table 1. Teruesa had tossed a fake coin and used this to bluff Yukari. In round 2, Yukari hides the coin again. She casually moves around tables 4, 5, and 6. As she gets close to table 6, she falls deliberately but pretends it was accidental. She pretends to give Teruesa a tip that she has used her devil power, which is named Double Invisible. Teruesa thinks that her invisible clone moved around tables 1, 2, and 3, which is why she fell. Teruesa answers that she has hidden the coin near tables 1, 2, and 3, but he is incorrect. Yukari was just lying about her devil power and mocked him for being so naive. Round 2 continues, and it's Teruesa's turn to hide the coin. He uses his devil power to divert Yukari's attention and hides the coin. However, Yukari's luck stands by her, and she guesses the right table by rolling the dice. In round 3, Yukari hides the coin. Teruesa behaves oddly this round. He isn't observing Yukari while she hides the coin. This makes Yukari suspicious that Teruesa has taken over the cameras and is observing her through his phone. She hides the coin where Teruesa can't see it on camera. However, Teruesa outsmarts Yukari. He knows she has placed a fake coin there, and the real coin is still in her hand. He chooses the table she is closest to and gets awarded 100 points. Teruesa is leading overall on the scoreboard. As round 3 continues, it's Teruesa's turn to hide the coin. He notices Yukari is acting abnormally. She is much quieter and isn't observing him carefully. He recalls that at the start of the round, Yukari asked Gato to be silent for the entire round. This makes him believe she is using some kind of devil power related to sound to locate the coin. He rings the fire alarm, which successfully distracts her so she can't find the coin. Yukari tries to test her luck again but fails to find the coin, and Teruesa wins this round. As a result, he acquires Yukari's devil key and advances in the tournament. Later, Hashin is seen talking on the phone. Someone on the other end tells him about Teruesa's victory. Hashin replies that this is why the guide showed belief in Teruesa. After Teruesa's battle with Yukari, Yuki is seen being brought by the guards to the tournament place. Actually, Yuki's mother and brother are being held captive by the Gungnir organization, and this has forced her to participate in the tournament. Teruesa promises to rescue her mother and brother, urging Yuki to focus on the game and win. As the game begins, Yuki's opponent is Senya, and Teruesa is on the run to rescue Yuki's mother and brother. The devil appears and starts guiding both of them about the game. The game is called Golden Gun and Silver Gun. The player chooses to be either a robber or a civilian. In each round, a different amount of money is at stake. If a player chooses to be a civilian and the other person is a robber, the robber gets the money if the civilian doesn't shoot. Conversely, the robber loses the money if he shoots at a civilian. In round 1, the money at stake is $5,000. Yuki chooses to be a civilian, and Senya chooses to be a robber. When the lights go off, Senya shoots at Yuki. It is revealed that Yuki is indeed a civilian, so she wins this round. Yuki wins a total of $6,000 because Senya's shot incurs a $1,000 penalty. In round 2, Yuki again chooses to be a civilian, confident that Senya will choose to be a robber. However, when the lights go off, Senya manipulates her, making it impossible for her to shoot. As a result, Senya wins this round. Round 3 begins with $10,000 at stake. Senya manipulates Yuki by throwing his pistol away and claiming he won't fire. Yuki chooses to be a robber. When Yuki fires, she hears 2 shots and discovers that Senya fired before her, even though he threw his gun away. Senya had lost the second round deliberately to test if pulling the trigger before the light went off would count as firing. It did, so he used this trick in the third round, pulling the trigger before throwing his gun away. Senya wins this round. In the next round, Yuki outsmarts Senya and uses her devil power, which allows her to make Senya choose what she wants. She also makes him exchange boxes, making the game more thrilling. Yuki wins this round. In the final round, Senya suspects something is wrong. As the round ends, it's clear Senya has won. Senya figured out that Yuki was using her devil's power. To confirm this, he put a pin on the robber button, and although he intended to press the civilian button, he ended up pressing the pin. Senya then used his pen to press the civilian button. Since Yuki's power doesn't affect non-living things, Senya successfully pressed the civilian button and won the round. As soon as the game ends, Teruesa and Yukari enter the room. Teruesa tells Yuki that her mother and brother are now safe. He explains how he wandered around the island to find the radio tower and contact his secretary in Hyodo. They eventually located where Yuki's mother and brother were being held captive and rescued them from Gungnir's men. The Gungnir tournament continues, and the next battle is a team battle. Each team consists of 2 players. Team 1 includes Teruesa and Yukari, while Team 2 includes UI and Date. As UI rotates the key, the devil appears, and the game begins. The game is called Basket Fruits. The devil guides the participants about the game. The game consists of 5 types of fruit tiles, each with different points. Each player will use 5 tiles per round, and only the player will know which tile they chose. The starting player will make a call and guess the number of a certain tile present in the game. The next player can either doubt it or pass the call by making a new guess about other tiles. At the end of the game, the player with the most points wins. After explaining the game, the devil is surprised that Yukari finds it ridiculous. In round 1, UI takes a bold start and confuses Yukari. UI and Date work exceptionally well together to eliminate Yukari from the round. As Yukari gets eliminated, Date eliminates himself so UI can gain extra points. Now, it's UI versus Teruesa, and it seems like UI is completely in charge. As expected, UI easily eliminates Teruesa and emerges as the top scorer on the points table after round 1. Round 2 begins. UI looks confident after winning the last round. However, Date deceives UI and eliminates him from the round. Date, being a psychologist, enjoys playing with people's psyches. He deliberately deceives UI to enjoy his reaction. With UI eliminated early in this round, Teruesa wins and gains some points on the scoreboard. In round 3, Date apologizes to UI and regains his trust. Both work perfectly as a pair and soon eliminate UI from the round. Once UI is out, Teruesa is cornered by UI and Date. UI and Date completely dominate Teruesa and win the round, making UI the top scorer. In round 4, Date plants a microphone on Yukari's shoulder and gives UI an earpiece. UI overhears the strategy Teruesa discusses with Yukari. As the game starts, everything seems to follow Teruesa's strategy. UI acts according to the strategy but is shocked to learn he has been eliminated. Actually, Teruesa had already noticed the microphone on Yukari and played along to make UI fall into his trap. Yukari then eliminates herself deliberately to increase Teruesa's points on the scoreboard. Now, it's Teruesa versus Date. Date uses his devil power to see through Teruesa's eyes, but surprisingly, he can't see Teruesa's fruit tiles. It is because Teruesa had already used his devil's power to fix those tiles. Seeing this, UI uses his devil power on Teruesa. UI's devil power allows him to ask Teruesa anything, and he will reply honestly. When Teruesa answers about the tiles, Yukari smiles, which gets UI's attention, and he suspects Teruesa is lying. UI states he has been observing Yukari throughout the game and commands Date to answer the opposite of what Teruesa told them. Shockingly, UI's answer is incorrect, and Teruesa wins the game. Later, Yukari reveals she knew UI had been observing her all along, so she just acted to bluff him. The game ends with Yukari and Teruesa as the winners. Later, Yuki is seen searching for the place from where the Gungnir organization is operating. Soon, it seems like she and Senya have found the secret hideout of Gungnir. They inform Teruesa, who leaves for the location. While wandering around searching for Gungnir's hideout, Teruesa slips into a well. Out of nowhere, UI appears and rescues him. UI reveals to Teruesa that he was pretending to be driven by greed to get close to Hashin. UI has always been on Teruesa's side, and his act gained him Hashin's trust. He also reveals that Hashin is controlled by someone called the Guide. Later, UI and Teruesa find Gungnir's secret hideout. As soon as Hashin leaves, they begin searching for the Devil Keys. Moving back to the tournament, the next battle is also a team battle. Team 1 consists of Yuki and Senya, while Team 2 consists of Mori and Ase. Mori, known as the Dragon Warrior, is on a winning streak in the tournament. Ase is a famous YouTuber who has previously lost to Mori. The game starts, and the devil explains the rules. There will be 6 rounds. The first person writes a word on the board, and the second person uses clay to draw a model of that word. Moreover, the third person alters the clay model, so the fourth person can't identify it correctly. Finally, the fourth person has to identify the word by observing the clay model. The first and third persons are from the same team, and the second and fourth persons are from the same team. If the fourth person identifies the word correctly, their team wins. If not, their team loses. In round 1, Ase goes first and writes something on the board. While he writes, all other players lose their senses and become unconscious. Yuki, the second person, makes a dog model and draws a kennel with it so Senya can identify it easily. Senya, the fourth person, says the answer is a house, but Senya is shocked to hear that he is incorrect. Later, Mori reveals that he changed the kennel a bit to make it look like a house, thus bluffing Senya and causing his team to lose the round. In round 2, Mori and Ase also fail to identify the word, bringing both teams to equal points. In rounds 3 and 4, each team wins 1 round respectively. The game becomes more complicated when Mori's team wins round 5 swiftly. In the final round, Senya knows it's crucial for his team to win and comes up with a strategy. So, he writes the word to be identified between the clay blocks so Yuki can easily identify it as the fourth person. Moreover, he uses his devil power to bring Mori's family into the battle room to distract him. Later, when it's Mori's turn to alter the clay model, it seems like he fails after getting distracted by his family. So, at Yuki's turn, she follows the strategy and finds the clay block with the word written in it. But Yuki is shocked when she finds out that her answer is incorrect. Moreover, Senya is frustrated as his master plan fails. Later, Mori reveals that he used his devil power to eliminate all distractions and change the words written on the clay blocks. Mori outsmarted Senya and won the game, causing Senya to lose all his devil keys to him. Meanwhile, Teruesa and Ui invade Gungnir's secret hideout. They discover how Gungnir has been monitoring all the key holders and their plan to obtain all 99 keys to create chaos worldwide. They also find a clue about the guide and that he is expected to arrive on the island soon. Ui sees Hashin returning to the hideout, so he and Teruesa leave immediately. Later, Ui and Teruesa reach the battle house and intend to tell everyone about Gungnir's plan. But before they can do so, Hashin appears on the scene and asks everyone to welcome the guide. The guide has reached the island, and Teruesa is shocked to see who the guide really is. The guide is actually Teruesa's father, and Teruesa is in shock that his father faked his death in the past. Later, the guide reveals how Hashin came to meet him and proposed the idea of a new world. Hashin wanted a world free of all worries, and that's why he wanted the guide to join his plan. Hashin had done all the research on devil keys, and he also knew where all the key holders were in the world. Surprisingly, his plan amused the guide, and he joined hands with Hashin and thus faked his death. At night, Teruesa seems restless and cannot sleep. He cannot digest the fact that his father's death was a lie, and he just wanders around the forest in distress. Suddenly, he slips and rolls down the slope. Later, when he wakes up, Senya is already beside him. Senya tells Teruesa how he had a hole left in him when his parents died. Senya explains that he couldn't think of anything else, and his life was empty without happiness. But since Senya met Teruesa, his life has been filled with joy. Further, Senya says how everyone has been looking for Teruesa the whole night. Senya makes Teruesa understand that he is not alone in all this and that Senya's friends have his back. Later, Senya brings Teruesa back to the battle house, and everyone is happy to see Teruesa back. Teruesa says he plans to take down the guide, so Teruesa meets Mori and persuades him to help him save the world. Later, Teruesa explains his plan to Mori and asks him to play a devil game with Ase, but considers the whole island to be the game area instead of just one room. In this way, the whole island will be cut off from the rest of the world, and Gungnir won't be able to initiate an attack on the world. After initiating this plan, Teruesa confronts the guide and challenges him to a devil game. The devil Gato appears and asks both of them what their demands are if they win the game. Teruesa demands that if he wins, the guide has to abolish the Gungnir organization. On the other hand, the guide demands that if he wins, Teruesa has to let go of his past and join the guide in his mission. After that, Gato begins to explain the game called the word investigation. Both players will think of 3 words in their minds and later write them on 3 different slabs. They have to guess which words the other player has written on the slabs. In turn, they can ask questions from Gato or guess the word is correct or incorrect. Whoever guesses the other player's 3 words first wins the game. As the game begins, Teruesa uses one of his statues to consult with Senya. Each player is provided with 3 statues, which they can use to consult their friends. In this way, they can get help from their friends. Senya reminds Teruesa that his 3rd wish is still pending, which Teruesa has to fulfill. So, Senya asks Teruesa to let him answer in this round, and Teruesa agrees and answers what Senya tells him. Luckily, Senya's first guess is right, and thus, Teruesa is 1 point ahead of the guide. But the guide doesn't seem impressed by this strategy and soon uses his devil power. The guide's devil power allows him to see through anyone's memory, so he uses Senya's memory to guess the first word Teruesa has written. As the guide successfully guesses the first word, he demands that Teruesa hand over his earring. The guide had already made a bet before starting the game that with each word he guessed right, Teruesa would have to hand over whatever the guide asked for. The earring belongs to Teruesa's mother, and the guide has asked for it to make Teruesa let go of his past. Moving further in the game, Teruesa focuses on and gathers all the questions he has asked from Gato. He merges them all to get the word the guide wrote on the 2nd slab. Teruesa guesses the 2nd word is stone, and everyone screams in joy when it's revealed that his guess is right. Later, it's the guide's turn to guess Teruesa's 2nd word. The guide guesses incorrectly, which helps Teruesa gain a lead on the scoreboard. Moving further in the game, it's the 3rd and last word Teruesa has to guess to win the game. So, Teruesa merges all the clues he has gotten from Gato but isn't able to reach a conclusion. He uses his 2nd statue to consult Yuki, and Yuki hands him a Gugamogo candy. Suddenly, it clicked in Teruesa's mind that Gugamogo candies were made by his father's company. Teruesa also recalls how his father used to gift him these in his childhood. So, he guesses the 3rd thing is Gugamogo chocolates, but shockingly, he is incorrect. Later, it's the guide's turn to guess, and he guesses that Teruesa has written his mother's name on the slab. The guide is totally right about this. Moreover, he taunts Teruesa that he is not innocent, as Teruesa had caused Maruko to lose Maruko's life in the past, too. Watching all this, Hashin seems pretty excited as the guide is trying to corner Teruesa. Later, it's again Teruesa's turn to guess the 3rd word the guide has written on the slab. Teruesa is confused, so he uses the 3rd statue and consults with UI. UI makes him recall how, during their school times, students bullied UI and took his wallet from him. So, Teruesa fought the ones who bullied UI alone and got that wallet back for UI. UI shows Teruesa that he still has that wallet, and it always makes him believe in Teruesa. Hearing this, Teruesa's other friends also encourage him, saying he is a constant source of motivation for them. In this way, Teruesa regains his confidence, and the game continues. Moving forward in the game, Teruesa guesses that the 3rd word is the tonic, which the guide injected before the game started. Surprisingly, Teruesa gets it correct, so now the game depends on the guide's answer. If he can guess Teruesa's 3rd word correctly, too, the game will be a draw. The guide gets his turn, but it's the first time he uses one of his statues to consult with his friends. Surprisingly, he just drinks a glass of water while Hashin reminds him how important it is for them to win. Later, the guide reveals that Teruesa's mother didn't die in an accident. Instead, she was killed by someone who intended to kill a politician, but Teruesa's mother got in his way. The death of Teruesa's mother forced the guide to create the organization named Gumnir. Later, the guide proceeds to answer the 3rd word and seems pretty confident. But surprisingly, the guide's answer is incorrect, and everyone breathes a sigh of relief as they have won the game. Later, according to the bet, the guide demolishes all the attacks he had planned and hands over the keys in his possession to Teruesa with the belief that Teruesa will use them for a better cause. But Hashin does not seem pleased with this and aims directly at Teruesa. As Hashin fires the gun, the guide covers Teruesa and saves him from the bullet. Moreover, Hashin sets the place to self-destruct and runs away from the hideout. Seeing all this, Teruesa tries to get the guide out with him, but the guide stops him to ask whether Teruesa wrote the guide's real name on the 3rd slab. Both become emotional, and the guide gives Teruesa a clue to dismantle all the keys. Later, as both are rushing to leave the place, the guide pushes Teruesa to get him out of the hideout and locks himself inside. In this way, he gives his life to save Teruesa's life. In his last moments, he cherishes his memories with his son Teruesa and his wife. After 1 week, everyone returned to their old lives after the tournament had ended, but when Yuki searches for Teruesa, she finds out he has again left them to find more keys. Terrawesa has left for Cambodia to find more clues about the keys, but he doesn't know if Senya has followed him there, too. Later, Senya confronts him and tells Terrawesa that he has done his own research too. Senya found out about the other people who have won the devil tournaments around the world. So, both of them leave to find out more about these devil keys.